right, in today's lesson, we're going to be creating I call it a watercolor, a newspaper poster. Okay. Here is an example. Again, we're designing in 11 by 17. You're going to have a main image, which you get to choose, and then newspaper articles, and then we make this watercolor effect. Okay. I would pick an overall theme. Like I talked about, I had one of my son playing soccer. All the newspaper articles and words were about soccer. Okay. All right. So when you start out, the very first thing is you want to get a some type of paper with texture. Okay. Actually, create a new document. We're going to do 11 by 17. Okay. And we're going to use the watercolor brush. Okay. To paint in some textures over the background. And I'm going to teach this lesson in two parts. We're going to create the background first, and then we'll do the person. So I'm going to show you how to do this in a minute. So we'll go get the watercolor brush, and we're going to create a watercolor background. And then you're going to go find on the internet some texture. Now, it can be a crumpled up paper. It can be any type of texture. And we're going to bring that into Photoshop. And then you guys can you're going to use an overlay. So one of the filters that we learned in our last assignment, and you'll throw an overlay. Okay. And you can play around with your opacities. Okay. And different color curves and that type of thing. All right. We are not going to bring in the person yet. So let's skip that part. And we're going to skip this part. We'll do that in the next lesson. And then the next part is I want you to be thinking of different newspaper images. So you're going to go online and type in your theme, and you're going to get different newspaper images, and you're going to bring them in. You're going to create a collage on a separate layer of different words and images. And then again, you're going to use your filters to filter it through. Okay. And that'll be the very first kind of phase. So we're right here. And then on Wednesday, we'll work on the person. That'll be part 2 of the lesson. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's open up Photoshop. And again, the very first step in the assignment is to create that watercolor background. Your document size is going to be 11 by 17. Okay. So again, file new. Make sure you're in inches. 11 by 17. Okay. Okay, now remember, don't ever design on your background. So get the plus sign, get a new layer. And then we're going to come over here, and then you're going to grab a brush. And then in your brushes, click on your brushes here. Click out on this little tiny wheel. Okay. And usually you can, let's see, new tool preset. No. Okay, so let's click here. Okay, so click here, and then you should be able to click out. Now, you can get a new brush preset. There's legacy brushes. There's different ones. Now, of course, they have changed the brushes here. Basically, you have these little windows, okay? And you have your general brushes, your wet media brushes, special effects brushes, okay? So we're going to go into the wet media brush, okay? And there's different types of brushes in here. So, like, you might want to grab that. Make it a little bit bigger, okay? I would just pick a basic color. So I think I'm going to do like a bluish color, light blue. And you can lower the, so this is the wetness, okay? And then you have your mix and your flow here, okay? So you can just play around with this. So see how I'm doing that? So this is like the brush. We're painting in a background, okay? But that's pretty heavy, all right? Now I can lower the opacity so it's not so thick, but I'm going to trash that. And I'm going to lower the wet down. Think of it as like water, right? Because it's wet. So water. And then the mixture push up a little bit. There. See how that's a little, like, see how that's a little more watercolory? Mm-hmm. That looks cool. So play around with your mixture and also play around with your brushes. So, kind of say, well, you can do different brushes and again, different strengths. Also play around with the sizes. Okay, now that's throwing in a white here. So let's switch that up. No, that's still, I'm on my background layer, but try not to design on your background layer. Okay, so again, that's at 100%. I'm going to lower it. Again, you can change the size. Okay, the flow. Okay, so you're just having fun. Now, it's not gonna, you can have it look completely different than theirs. Okay, so under the wet media brush, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brushes. And then you can come back in, again, change your strength. Okay, so I'm just making it look like a watercolor. All right, you can also get your smudge. That's your smudge brush. So it'll kind of go back and forth between the two. Okay, so this nice type of textured background. Okay, all right, now the next thing that we're going to do is you're going to go back onto the internet. Okay, so we've made that textured background. Now mine's a little bit more intense than theirs, and that's okay. They use like a white and a tan. Okay, so we're going to go onto the internet, and you can literally type in like uh, folded paper texture, and then images. You could also just type in paper texture. Okay. All right. So there's lots of different types of textures, like a wrinkled crumple, crumple. Okay. You can even do that. Okay. So you're going to get a lot of different types of textures. So I'm just going to grab this one. Again, I'm going to copy it, bring it into Photoshop, control paste. Okay, it went onto a separate layer. And then at this point, I'm going to control T. I'm going to turn it and make it large. Now we're going to use our overlays. Okay, come up here and then just try different textures. Okay, it's going to give you a really cool effect. All right, they're beautiful. So let's just, for learning purposes, I'm just going to pick this effect, right? Now, make sure you're saving as you're working. Okay. So watercolor poster. All right. And again, I don't expect you to work this fast. If you get this much done today in one day, that's beautiful. Okay. Now, day two. Let me go over what day two would look like. You're going to get newspaper articles according to your theme. So my theme is going to be water polo. So I'm going to type in water polo newspaper articles. Okay. And then I am just going to kind of come in here and see if I can find some just different articles. Okay. I'm not looking for images. Um, like the news. No, we'll keep it in images. Okay. So here's three. So I'm going to copy and paste. So again, get a new layer, copy and paste. I'm going to go back. And this part will take you a little bit of time. Okay. Let's try that one. Now, of course, these are not. They're who knows what they're from, and but they're part. They have water polo words in them. Okay. And then basically, what you're going to do is you're going to take the articles and like make a splash. That's a really good. Like that's perfect. So just control cut, control paste. And you're going to create a collage here of your different words and articles. So this will take some time. Here's a water polo team. That's a good one. Control cut, control paste. So you're starting to get the idea, right? Um, and then basically with all of these, you want to have them on the same layer. So control T, let's make that bigger. We'll turn it. We could put there, like make a splash. This one. So you're going to want to merge. I'm going to merge these two. Once I get it kind of where I want it, control T. So okay. So even just like water polo words, whatever your theme is, okay? And you can have multiple themes, okay? So, it doesn't have to be. So basically, you're going to get words and headlines that are old newspapers. And then you're going to merge them. I know it's a lot of steps. You're going to merge those. And then again, you're going to do your overlay. Okay. So you want to be able to see the words, but you don't want it to be too, what is it like, you want to still be able to see the words. So maybe like if I go through here, I'm like, I don't really see one that will work where I can still see the words, but they're faint. So what I might just do is lower the opacity. Okay. Although that also, so I'll probably do like color burn. Okay. And I can move it around. Control T. So you're going to end up having newspaper articles on the whole, in a whole entire back of your page. Okay, so this is basically part one of our project, and then part two will add the person and create the bleed of the watercolor into the paper. Okay.